So if you're running like a slick and you get shot 3 times with ACP rip, you die in the stomach. Someone hits you 3 times with ACP rip in the stomach, you die.
Oh, and
It's
stomach. Yeah, I
insane.
think I could
It's
see that.
insane
Yeah.
because of the 150% like increase. It's mental, but I mean, it's still like 5 to the leg or something. It's like it's completely bonkers that round. It's
Is it
crazy.
5? I thought it was 4.
I think it's either 4 or
4.
5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4. Now I'm like, okay, that might be worth investigating.
Dude, this
Because
thing's like
4,
it's like 1100 RPM.
I
It's
know it's
crazy,
insane.
dude. It's absolutely insane.
Welcome to Scav Talk, an Escape from Tarkov podcast with a focus on the continued development of the game, passionate analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I'm an editor for Airwing Marine.
And my name is GigaBeef, an Escape from Tarkov YouTuber who, for those who are listening on audio, can't see the ridiculous amounts of boxes around me at the moment because I am in the process of moving and my life is chaotic, but it's all good. And welcome back to the show. A bit of a rambly intro, but you know what? It's all good. How are you, Church? What's going on? What's been going on this week?
I'm good, man. A lot of stuff has been happening in the Tarkov world. I
Absolutely.
love it. It's
Yeah.
I wanted to play today. I didn't get time to. I got to play a little bit on Tuesday.
Hmm.
Because I think stuff that we'll get into, like the dynamic loot stuff, that's kind of a huge deal because the implications there is that it's changing where it's directly affecting player behavior. It's going to change how you go and loot the map, and that's like a big, it's like the fights can get kind of dull in the same
Yep.
typical spots. So when it's changing like this, it's more dynamic. It makes everything dynamic, I think. But we'll get into that,
Exactly.
I'm sure. So I got to play. I was curious. I did an interchange. I died once to Killa because I forgot he can spawn literally anywhere.
Mm.
and
Yes.
so I got murdered in the garage like a minute after spawn. I went to one tap the scav in the head, and he just turns at me and yells and shoots me. I'm like, oh, that's Killa.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been caught by that, but just because people aren't really expecting him, because you're kind of on guard in the center of them all before you know that it might be a possibility. But when you're just like, and he doesn't have any voice lines either, right? He doesn't have any specific voice lines, and I think that's
Yeah,
what gets people because they think, oh, there's a scav shouting, and then you suddenly just get mown down with like RPK Golnick, and you're like, oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah.
like, it's just completely insane. Yeah, I mean, yeah, with like whenever you're moving, it's just insane. Like I had very little time to actually go in and do some stuff, but I have been playing like some scav runs just around like various other things. I've actually played like way more scav than I usually do, which is kind of interesting. Um,
Hmm.
and like some stuff in interchange, whatever. So there's like I mean, we'll talk about it again, the dynamic loot stuff, but my experience is all coming from like the scav side, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I had some like funny moments, just like literally when I was just like, right, I have like a couple of minutes or something, I'll just like smash a scav through factory or whatever. And I had one like proper like Benny Hill style chase through factory because like I bumped into Tagilla on my way to extract, and he's just like chased me around the whole map with a hammer, and I'm like, dude, why? Why are you like this? Like, I'm not trying to shoot you or anything. And I had to actually manage to outrun him through like various like weaving up, down stairs, round things, whatever, and finally managed to lose him. It was just like, dear God, this guy's like, I ran out of stamina at one point and I really thought that was it. But he was insistent upon chasing me with the hammer and didn't want to shoot me. So I managed to just about survive. There's the section where there's like the big like container thing and there's a little cubby behind it. It's kind of next to the sky bridge, not the actual, yeah, it's the sky bridge stairs kind of section, um, where you've got like the wooden floor at the bottom, and if you come out of one of the doors, there's like a blue metal container straight ahead of you, and you can go behind it. It's like a little like there's like a tiny little like hidey hole behind. It was like around that area where there's like the weapons crate, and there's the diagonal fence that's fallen over. That was the bit that like saved me because you know his pathing's not good enough to run over that bit and do like proper parkour. So that was it. But he chased me like all the way through the underground stuff. It was actually terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's basically been it for me this week. I mean, other than that, like the other thing that I always love the economy. I mean, last week me and Ellie basically just like nerded out a bit about the economy for the whole time, and so I've just been like keeping a track of prices, like what's been going on, because it's interesting. I'm still trying to fill up my Bitcoin farm, and like one of the biggest things that I've noticed about some of the changes is just because now people can't just like systematically farm GPUs. Just all the prices have just like gone vertical, so they're up to like 800K or something, where they were like 600 before. I was like happy buying them at 600 each time. I still need like 19, and I'm just kind of holding off because I don't know whether this is like permanent or not. If it's permanent, they're going to stay here. If it's not, they're going to drop back when people can then like refarm them in the tech stores. So I'm like just sort of chilling and just like waiting, because the incremental advantage for me personally, or what I see anyway, from adding those cards now, like each card from like, I've got 31 in there or something. Like if you go from 31 to 50, it doesn't really, like, it takes a long time to like make that money back, you know what I mean? So I don't mind waiting
Right.
like maybe a week or 2 weeks or something to see if something settles, because I'm not going to make the money back of like 19 cards times like 200k rubles or something if it does drop back to 600. So I'm willing to wait, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've kind of been looking at the economy changes because I've spent most of my time in my stash. But it's
Yeah. It's very interesting because I was chatting with Airwing and we were looking at some of the Tarkov market analytics, and some of the high end stuff, like GPUs, for example, they spiked in price,
interesting.
uh, assumingly because there was lower supply of them.
Yeah,
Um, but other items uh, also like lowered in price. Like I want to say, what was it? I can't
I've
remember,
noticed
but
it with
some
Pile of
like
Meds.
common.
Pile of
Oh,
Meds has gone
really?
from like
Okay.
13 to like 11, 10, something like that. And I actually couldn't really figure out why. Um, Same with wires. Wires were like, you could almost always get wires out for 10k each, and now they're pretty much systematically 8. I thought it was like the weekend effect as well, maybe because everyone's just like selling all their stuff. And then I waited like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. I had like 60 wires to sell that I'd like been crafting and just like saving up. And eventually I just dumped them all at like 8k, because I was like, well, they're taking a load of space. And like my thesis on that it was the weekend hasn't come through. So I just give me the money. Um, but it's still it's still worth it. That's fine, because you can get like the power cores are kind of also cheaper. So it's weird. Yeah, some stuff's gone down, and I'm not hugely sure why. I think like I was like speculating that maybe it's because they're like they're inputs to other things that are now harder to find, and so those prices have gone up, so it's not worth it as much. But I didn't do like a deep dive into like which trades were particularly involved or which crafts were particularly involved. I was like, well, maybe people are finding less augmenting and stuff. So sorry, maybe more augmenting. Um, I don't know. And so it's driving down Parliament's price. I don't really know. But it does seem like some stuff's gone down. Was there any like particular standouts you
Of
saw? There's like of
items.
items that have gone down like a lot. Is there anything that's gone down a bunch? I only noticed like some stuff has gone down like 1 or 2k. I didn't notice anything like super crazy that's gone lower.
Um, I can't remember. Airwing is saying like wire CPU fans, things that are in PCs, have like
Mm,
dropped in price. At least I think that's what he's saying. Um, and I wonder,
mm,
like, part of me wonders if like, so you can't find the valuable loot, so you go for like these container loots, like duffel bags, and more people are doing that. So
yeah.
that's more of those types of items come out of raid, so they're flooding the market, so the price is falling. I wonder if that's part of it too, but I don't know. I mean, according to Nikita himself, the actual loot has not changed. It's just been
Mm.
spread out across the map. I think it's the best way to say it.
Which kind of makes sense, right? It is, what is the proportion of loot on a map that gets looted? I would imagine it's probably, I mean, this is a pure guess, but I imagine it's probably somewhere in the region of like 10 to 25% of all loot on the map actually gets taken out. And that might be
Hmm.
being like, kind. So
Yeah.
if you then change the concentration of the loot to be like, imagine you make it completely equal across the whole map, then it
Right.
is effectively a loot nerf, because people don't take all the loot out. So I saw that there was actually a big buff of some of the like rare stuff,
Hmm.
GPUs and a few other things, possibly to counter that, because it's like, oh yeah, look, the loot's all on the map, but because it can be anywhere and people aren't just going to scour everything, then people aren't finding it as frequently, and so it has kind of the same effect as removing the loot in some ways. I think that's like another thing, but yeah, look, it's super interesting. And there's just been like a ton. There's just a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff. Where do you want to start? I wanted to touch on the economy first, but there's like a whole load of other things to talk about. Um, Let's see. So like I'd kind of like written down a few bits and pieces. Oh, I guess we're talking about interchange and stuff. Like the killer spawns thing, I thought was particularly interesting because was looking at that Reddit thread. Um, I tweeted that out as well about like how his spawns have like changed dramatically across interchange. And as you mentioned it, you got killed by him too. And it's interesting to see that like 30% of the time he still will be where he used to be. So it's not like I mean, it's dramatic. 70% of the time he won't be, but it's not like everywhere. And you know, mad props to the guys who went out and did like 100 raids in offline to go and
Yeah.
like check out where he was, because that's really the best way to do this kind of stuff now. Is heuristic approach. You just have to go and just do it and see where he is. And there are like clusters of places. So if you want to hunt him, you can still kind of do it in like a semi-organized sort of way. You don't need to look everywhere. Like he's not going to spawn outside, for example. Um, but I think it's better. I think it's good because they're sort of disrupting those like classic player pathways. I think like it's a funny one. I think that sometimes map flow is good, but too much of like a map structure is bad. So like map like customs has like relatively decent map flow, whereas interchange is like it's so rigid. You start on the outside, you go to the inside. You're either killer farming, you're graphics card farming, or maybe you're just
Yeah.
doing something else. Like with the vast majority of slots taken up by people with like very specific things to do previously, I think it was like too rigid. The way that flow worked is like kind of too obvious and not fun enough, not dynamic enough. Whereas this is super cool because it kind of, yeah, as you say, spreads people out and makes them do different stuff. So that's good. I haven't actually done the killer quest yet, and I know people are saying that obviously it makes it, well, I don't know. People are saying that it makes it harder to farm 100 killer kills, which is understandable. But whether it makes it easier to do the killer the boss once and get his helmet, because you're not fighting against, when you do find him, you're probably not fighting against like every other person on the map simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that might be a benefit when I actually get around to
Yeah,
bothering
that's a
doing
good
that.
point.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Definitely for the 100 kills, it's a nerf, but for that single one, it arguably is a buff because that way you're competing against less killer farmers. Look, the consistency has been removed,
Yeah.
which I think is a
Exactly.
good thing. I did see
Exactly.
that map, and I kind of wish he did spawn up by Tech Light or like patrolled the Tech Light because that's like such a hotspot for because you have the GPUs and then the LEDX and the medical room. Like I've always thought Killa should spawn there, but anyways, it's I like the change. I'm all for less static raids.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I I thought we could talk about the Reddit posts Nikita did on the 4th, where he sort of like broke down some information of what's going on behind the
Oh
scenes.
yeah, was this just like the general update that he put out?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me see. I think I still do. I still have this up? I definitely had it up at one point, but I can kind of remember what he said anyway.
It's in the notes too. If you,
Oh yeah. It's here. I got it. I got it.
I wouldn't put the
Yeah.
links because I was just like bullet points are not going to cut it because there's so many.
Exactly.
There's so much stuff.
Exactly. And this is kind of a roadmap, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So what is it? 11.5 is going to be some like quality of life stuff because I think he was talking about that very recently in a podcast. But 12.6, sorry, 12.11.6 Unity 19 migration and DLSS support. I'm really excited for that
Yes,
because
I think that's going to be huge, right? Like the Unity 2019 migration, we might not see any changes like up front, but they've
right,
been talking about this for so long, and it's going to just give them so
yeah,
much more leverage. Like people have asked him, what does this change, and how is this going to help? And he's just like, it just helps with everything. And there's just so many things that they can do now that there's better ways of optimizing different bits and pieces. So that's going to be super cool. And the fact that it's coming with DLSS, like, I was well. I'm gonna say yeah. A lot of people were disappointed with the fact that like Reflex was announced on its own. Um, to be honest with you, like I'm not, I don't actually keep up with like the hardware suit like that much. I'm not a massive hardware guy. Like I can hold my own and like build a PC when I need to, but I'm not like
mhm,
I don't follow it avidly. Um, so when I looked into it, I was like, oh, this is a kind of a cool thing. And given it's I can get access to it, it's fantastic. But the DLSS does seem to be like the deal, free frames
could be
basically.
really, yeah,
So
that could
we'll
be,
see,
yeah,
we'll see. But like, yeah, I'm excited about that. That should be good. I think because
yeah.
like once it's in as well, like they can make tweaks because I think they've already tweaked Reflex once or twice as well. They've like
They
added some
just did
stuff.
a
Mm.
update recently. It was like a 50% overall increase in, or I guess decrease in input latency.
Yeah,
It was
it's nuts.
50% improvement.
I
So
do feel
nice.
sorry for everybody running AMD though. I was like running. I switched to NVIDIA for this build because of the encoding stuff. Really,
Yeah.
it wasn't for any of this other stuff, and it's just kind of like has come along as a really nice bonus. But like, I did a video with like reflex in it and stuff, and I had a ton of comments being just people being like, "But it's so unfair." Like, if you don't have an NVIDIA card, then it just puts everyone else at a disadvantage. I'm just like, I mean, yeah, like that's the nature of technology. I'm afraid it's just how it is.
Well, I do think AMD is coming out with their own um DLSS like feature, but it's not software developer proprietary. It's just
Mhm.
AMD's version of it through its own drivers and whatnot. So it wouldn't have to be like specifically added support for
Yeah,
specific games. It's just more generic. Not as good, but still there's that
yeah.
eventually.
We will see. We'll see. It'd be nice to get a bit more kind of parity across the player base rather than just like alienating everyone who doesn't use an
Yeah,
Nvidia card.
yeah.
But and then and then bullet point number 3, patch 12.12. I don't know when we're gonna like. I was watching. I've been watching Nice Guy's been like spamming out. He's like got a minigun videos. He's just like all these updates. It's crazy. But even he doesn't really know when 12.12 is going to be. We haven't seen anything about Lighthouse yet. I'm kind of with him. We haven't seen anything about it. Be surprised if we get it before like Christmas or something. Um, so we'll have to see. But Lighthouse location, daily quests, inertia, VoIP, the next weapons malfunctions iteration, and then other new weapons and whatever. Like this is a humongous patch.
I'm willing to say we probably won't get all of that stuff, but um yeah. I I'm anticipating possibly Christmas. We will see because he was just on, and we'll get into this later. Possibly he was just on the community podcast with the like emissaries and whatnot. And if I recall, they are they have been because of COVID, because of things of that nature. People are taking vacations. They want to do a crunch period for this next short period of time by the end of the year, I think. So I'm anticipating they're gonna really push to get this out. Some type
Yeah.
of major content update. We'll see if it all makes it in, but
Yeah, exactly. Like my
exciting.
guess would be because there's like ETS tests of inertia and VoIP. My guess would be that we probably get both. I think we'll pretty much certainly get inertia because they've been talking about it so long, and they're going to put that in through the
Yeah.
test. VoIP, I actually don't know whether that's going to make it in or not. I imagine it would if there's going to be a test for it. Um, I think like again, there's been so much that he's been on so much that he said recently. Was it the Russian cast where he was talking about Lighthouse and about how only part of it's going to make it in? Because I think there's going to be 4 bosses, but then the in-raid trader is not going
Yes.
to be there.
Right.
There's some stuff that's been cut, but we will. He says we will see it, and I think we probably will see that in some form. But whether all of it comes in or not, well, he said that some of it's not going to be there, so I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. But 4 bosses, I mean, it's it sounds
Yeah, that's kind of great.
it sounds
And
pretty cool.
apparently it's gonna be half the size of Shoreline.
It sounds
So
nuts.
people were speculating it's gonna be more of a linear map as well.
Mm.
Kind of like how old customs used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting. And there's supposedly gonna be 4 bosses on there. That's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I guess like they're not all going to spawn at once because right now we only have a 30% chance to spawn. So we'll see. Maybe you'll get it's kind of like 1 or 2 per raid kind of thing, and like the rare raid you'll get all of them. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see. It could be super fun. Honestly, like the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. I know like tons of people are looking forward to Inertia. I'm just looking forward to VoIP. I really am. I'm looking forward to VoIP. Now that they put in
Really.
Scav Karma, I really think VoIP will be. I think it's going to make some interactions much richer. I really do. And inertia kind of
Yeah.
fixes like, shift W. It sort of like helps, I'm going to say fixes, but it kind of like helps steer shift W kind of gameplay into the more of the place where Nikita wants it to be, which is fine. And that's okay. But I don't think it's going to, obviously it's going to be very different mechanics wise, but like the maps are going to be the same. The guns are going to be the same. There's going to be like maybe more ADS time or something in general, and people are going to move around a bit slower and stuff. And you can't just jiggle peek, but like, these are like the minute mechanics of the gunfights, which people will just like it'll come in the game, people get used to it, and then it'll never like people will forget what it was like before. Which is kind
Okay.
of why, like, I feel like VoIP's much more like transformational in that sense.
Yeah,
And I
I
was
kind
actually
of see
talking
what
to
you're
some
saying.
people. Yeah, I was talking to some people recently about like, oh, what about the toxicity? And do you think it's gonna be super toxic and whatever? And I was like, I actually don't think so. I think there's going to be limited situations where it can be really toxic, so long as you die immediately um, with your voice. So as long as the voice, like you get shot and the voice is gone and you don't hear anything either, because the most toxic thing is going to be like somebody stood over your body being like, oh, GG, dude, thanks for the loot. Because that's going to basically make you throw your computer out the window and never want to play again. And
Yeah,
so I think those are going to be the worst things because the rest of it, like people who are going to be toxic to each other, clearly going to be shooting at each other, right? And so those interactions are going to be short by definition because one of the parties is going to end up being dead. And so the only times where it's going to be like maybe toxic is two people sat in two rooms next to each other, and one guy's like, "Come out, I dare you," all this kind of stuff. But it's going to be more like trash talking. I think in the
that
main might
part
actually be all right.
that I like that part because I feel like that adds to the immersion. Like for
Yeah.
me personally, like
Or if
that would
some guy's
just
just like, "Come back, I'm gonna get you," and you're
yeah,
like running
yeah.
to
It's just
resort, whatever. But then I think the longer interactions where people do actually team up, I think those will, because they won't be toxic, because otherwise it'll end up with someone killing somebody. So I feel that those interactions are going to be that are more meaningful, will last longer anyway. So that will make up the larger majority of that kind of thing, just because of the way people are cooperating. They're going to be cooperating for an extended period of time. If you're not cooperating, you just shoot each other in the head and that's it, and maybe what some person just says GG noob and that's it. I just don't see how the toxicity could like persist. Like how could you both be alive for ages and still being shouting crap down each other's things or whatever, unless it's like scavs, because no one wants to kill each other for scav karma. I don't know, but I think it might be okay after the first week or something. Like people are going to troll, yeah, but I think after the first week I think it's gonna be all right.
I don't know. I'm like I'm more worried about the culture, like the meta game of it. Like for Scav, I think it makes really good sense because there is sort of like this motivating player behavior driven rule set to like work together.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't work together, then you get punished, right? Or I
Yeah.
guess if you like kill each other, you get punished. So you're sort of like already being motivated. This would just like help you work together essentially. But like for PMCs, there is no real motivating driving force to work together other than like, wanting the desire to work together, I guess. You know what I mean?
But I think, like,
So
the conversations we've had before about Rust and stuff, you can get that emergent behavior, even though people can kill each other. It's like what people have said, oh, the miracle of two people working together with no reason to, and the fact that you can kill each other. Like
for
it's
sure.
the times like when, you spot some guy in factory and you run around the corner and he's like trying to fix the tool thing, and you're just like, hey, bro, what's going on? And, you're just trying to do the quest or whatever. I actually got killed the other day because I thought somebody was trying to do the tool thing, and then they opened fire at me with like an APS auto pistol or something, and I was like, "Oh, good lord!" Like, I let the guy live, and then like had a firefight with him, got killed by someone else down glass corridor. But like, if I'd been able to be like, "Oh, are you doing your quest?" and the guy would be like, "No, I'm coming to get you with this pistol, bro," whatever. It would have been a more interesting experience. Like, there's a couple of situations where it would have been nice, and I don't think it's going to be used all the time. Honestly, this is the thing for PMC. I don't think it's going to be used all the time, but the times when it is going to be used, I think it's going to add so much depth. I really do. I think it's going to add so
Yeah.
much depth.
My fear is that because there is no like driving like there is no rule set to work together, like I don't remember if we talked about this or not, but it's like if I kill you and I betray you, stabbing you back, that doesn't really carry over into like the other raids. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So that's like why I think there might be room for people to sort of realize this and take advantage of the system. You know what I mean? Because there's like I basically could like betray you and just it like never really happened. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. It's kind of weird because it's not like in those other open world games where it's all like connected. It's all seamless, interconnected. You
yeah.
that action stays within that world. You know what I mean? So it's like that douchebag Booty Slayer 69. He lives down over there. You know what I mean? I'm never. It doesn't really it's disconnected. It's like a disconnected timeline. So it just I'm fearful that it will be used in that manner.
It almost kind of like makes it more meaningful though, then, doesn't it? If people do work together, and there's always the fear that somebody it's completely risk free. You can just pop the guy in the back of the head. There's always that
Yeah, for
fear that
sure,
someone's going to
for
do it, the
sure.
paranoia. So I don't know. I think we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I just don't know. But
But I agree with your sentiment that it is very transformational. This
mm,
opens up so like it like could change the game completely. Like it just
yeah,
adds such a second layer of depth. Like now you have the depth of like personalities or a social layer, which is awesome, which is the MMO factor. Like it's good. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. Okay, so that's going to be like the massive patch. So hopefully, well, we'll just have to
Yeah,
see what comes through with that, and then after that, I mean, he's listed what quality of life, other stuff, and then oh yeah, and then the 3 new modules to anti-cheat. Um, the war is not over. Basically, what he said. The
yeah,
next 4 months are hard and important. Events, podcasts, and other related activities. So the usual stuff, the continued events, which we love. We've talked about at length. Other podcasts. I mean, he's been pretty vocal in general after making this. He's on with Russian Magazine. He's on this the community podcast.
yeah.
He's been on with Veritas and Jesse. He's
And
been
I
all over
do
the place.
think they are going to be doing their own podcast, a BSG official one, and they will be showcasing Lighthouse because we haven't seen any screenshots or
That is going to
anything.
be
But
fun.
I'm excited for that, dude.
You know what? I'm actually really excited for another map because when Reserve came out, I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was doing like other stuff and I just didn't really play it. And so I kind of didn't get like that, completely new map experience. And I'm excited to actually get in on the ground on a new one because like I left Reserve for ages until kind of like towards the back end of last wipe to like properly like sit down and get some playtime on it. It was well after the like underground expansion came to Reserve that I actually got into the map, genuinely. I think partly just because there were no quests, and I think it was the wipe I was doing Kappa, so I was like really focused on like doing those quests, and there was just nothing on Reserve, so I just never played. So yeah, I'm excited to get in on the ground with it and see what happens. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun. But yeah, he's Nikita's been a busy guy, and we'll see what happens there.
I
So
wanted to get your thoughts on
yeah.
the black limb that was reworked.
Okay, so the black limb thing is very interesting. I actually, because I know, Veritas has been talking about the black limb
Yeah.
stuff a bunch, and it was kind of like in tandem. I was like hearing his explanation kind of at the same time, and it's funny because I had always assumed that the system that is now in place had always been the case. I was never under the impression that it was the way that it used to be. And I have
Mm.
always hated leg meta and always thought that it didn't work. I don't know whether this is just, this could just be coincidence that I'm just not very good at it. But I've always thought that leg meta was underwhelming. And every time I've tried it, it doesn't work anywhere near as well as I thought it would. You know what I mean? And then to find out
Yeah.
actually there's some technicalities around it. So for people who aren't following this stuff, blow by blow the way the black limb system used to work, you get a blacked, arm or something, and then when you get shot in the arm, you only get 70% of the damage dealt across the rest of your body. But what it does is it effectively distributes it across like each body part because it takes the body parts as like a percentage of the whole or something. So it basically means that like
Mhm.
any other black limbs or the arm itself take some of that splash damage on, which means that then if you're just a head and a torso and you get shot in the black arm, some of it goes to the other black arm, the black leg, the other black leg, and because they have 0 health, they can't take any more damage. So it means that your head and your torso hardly take any damage in the splash over, whereas now all the damage gets redistributed. Now I always thought this was the case, and this is actually really fortuitous because the video that I have going out tomorrow has a calculation in it that I wrote into the video on like Monday or something, exactly the way it is now, because I misunderstood how it worked. So the video was wrong, and as of like Tuesday or Wednesday or
Now
something,
you're
it is
right.
now correct, which is hilarious. Because I genuinely thought it always distributed it. So
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I was under the impression that let's say you had a black head and you had a black leg. If you ran on that black leg, you would take damage and it would spread to all the parts. And again, this to remind you, this is the old way it used to work, and you would die from that tick too, because it would damage the limb and it would spread and it would go to the black head, and then you would die from that. I might be wrong about that, but I thought that's how that used to work.
I can't remember. I know for a fact that if you ran a black, or not even ran, if you walked a black leg into a barbed wire, that damage would spread and kill you for sure. I think it did. I can't remember though. I actually can't remember because it happens so infrequently. Because you have to get.
Yeah,
I
you have to
feel
get
like it didn't. I feel like if you bled down to 0, I don't think it killed you if you were at 0 because the distribution of damage ended up not actually damaging the head from another part again. I can't remember. I actually can't remember
yeah, I don't know.
because now it doesn't kill you, right? For sure.
I don't even
Because
know because
now
they've
the head's
changed the
blacked. Yeah, because now we'd have to test it, but like now the head's black. I would expect it wouldn't kill you because now that the head is blacked already, it now
it
takes
wouldn't.
0 damage because it
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
redistributed to all of the body parts that have health.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
that's the thing,
now,
because you could
yeah,
technically be if you get a bleed in your chest and a bleed in your head and it reaches the 0, assuming you don't get shot in those parts at all,
yeah.
you're technically invulnerable if they shoot you in your arms or legs. They have to hit you in that 0 part because none of the damage will go to that 0,
Oh,
that blacked
are you
out.
referring to like the bug, the way that it was like bugged when it first came out? Because like I
Well,
know
I
when it
think that's
first
how it works
appeared.
now.
Well, I know when they first put it in place,
You
a
were
limb that was
invulnerable.
blacked distributed at precisely no damage to the rest of the body at
Yeah,
all.
no, I'm not referring to that.
No,
That
because that
was
was super
hilarious.
funny. That was
Yeah.
super funny and definitely not the way it's supposed to be. But like, yeah, it distributes it. You're saying like when you say invulnerable though, you mean like your health has to go to naught across your whole body before you die, despite having a blacked head and getting shot in the arm that was also blacked. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, I think I'm basically saying that if you have a blacked head or a black chest or both, they have to hit you in that spot to kill you. They can mag dump your assuming your total pool stays above 0, but they could
Yes.
like mag dump your arm and it wouldn't none of the damage is gonna ever distribute to the blacked chest or
Yeah.
blacked head because that's the new rule. It's like blacked limbs don't receive any damage.
Hmm.
It all gets spread to the other parts. Because
Yeah.
before it used to go I guess it would, like, go to the blacked like, a part of damage would go to the blacked limb, and it would be null, like, it wouldn't do anything, you know? It
Yeah.
was like a bug, I guess, and maybe that's why leg meta did feel underwhelming, so I'm curious, have you tried any leg meta stuff? I've seen some clips, and I'm like, "Uh-oh."
I have
You know?
wanted to. So when I next get back on it, part of the problem is that I feel like everybody's going to be doing it, so it's not going to be
Yeah.
like entertaining. But I want to get back on. There's kind of two guns I want to use. One is obviously like the ACP Vector because it's like it is outrageous. So like the next video I've got coming up, just like a little teaser, is an armor one. It's like a level 5 armor one. But I go into like
Mhm.
I ended up like probably biting off a bit more than I wanted to be honest, and ended up it's like 15 minutes, which is quite long for mine, especially when they're like technical stuff, and I went into like all the mechanics, everything to do with level 5, everything I could think about. I like wrote down everything, and I went through everything. Um, and because of like so if you're running like a slick and you get shot 3 times with ACP rip, you die in the stomach. Someone hits you 3 times with ACP rip in the stomach, you die.
Oh, and
It's
stomach? Yeah, I
insane.
think I could
It's
see that,
insane
yeah.
because of the 150% like increase. It's mental, but I mean, it's still like 5 to the leg or something. It's like it's completely bonkers that round. It's
Is it
crazy.
5? I thought it was 4.
I think it's either 4 or
4
5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4, now I'm like, "Okay, that might be worth investigating."
Dude, this thing's
Because
like
4
it's like 1100 RPM.
I
It's
know, it's
crazy,
insane.
dude. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, because it does 137 damage. That's 137 damage, right? So, you have what, 440 HP, 137 damage. Yeah, it's 4. It's nearly 3. It's so close to 3. 137 times
Well, it
3
would
is
be
411. It's so close to 3 shots.
what's the leg multiplier? Is it point 0.9 when
The
it
leg is
spreads?
100%. The leg
Is
is
it
just
really?
that leg is just equal. Yeah, the arms is 0.7, the legs are 100%, and the stomach is 150.
That's kinda scary.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
this
one stomach and 2 legs, that will kill you. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you'll die to that from
Yeah,
rip. This is 3. It's
dude.
just like leg,
This
like thigh, stomach, you're dead. Slick, whatever, you're dead. Doesn't matter. It's
this
insane.
really worries me because if like I don't know how I feel about it yet, but just like my gut reaction is like if the meta becomes aiming at feet, like it's I don't know, it's goes against everything that I've, you know,
Yeah,
learned.
I know. I find
So
it really
it
hard
could
to
be
do.
it could be interesting, but then also what that means is like, well, maybe it's gonna be only worth wearing P.A.K.As, you know? Like everyone will just go to P.A.K.as. Because then it's like
Maybe
if everyone goes to high flesh damage, then you
you
know
just need something. Just wear
you
like
just
the press
yeah.
or whatever.
That's what I'm thinking. So I'm just like, I don't know how I
I
feel
don't know.
about
It's
it.
tricky. I mean, the other one that I'm interested in using is the P90 with like the meta round for that, the
Oh, that's an
R37 round, because
interesting one.
that's 98 damage, and the P90 obviously is like
Wow.
50 rounds, right? So you can just go, you can just fire hose someone
98's
into their legs. Yes, it's
pretty
5. So
high.
it's 5 with the P90. But
What's
you got a 50 round mag
the clip I saw was of a Keter,
with the Keta.
and
But
he
this is the thing,
destroyed.
right? This is the thing. The Keta ammo, like, it's not even that good. You know, it's like what's the craziest one? SP7 is like 77,
Yeah, but
77
it's
damage.
is it 900 RPM or is it 1100?
I think it depends on the model. I think
Yeah.
it
What's
depends on
the
the
one
model.
that's suppressed? There's one I saw a clip where this guy in a factory just destroyed a player, and then he went to loot him, and he had a slick and a wrist 5 helmet.
Yeah, and this is the
I was
thing,
like,
like
oh my
the
god.
slick ain't gonna save you, right? And so that the
Yeah.
Keta takes 6. The Keta takes 6 shots, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, if you're like rushing in and you're like point blank with somebody, you can get 6 shots off because it's really chaotic. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
tricky, and this is kind of like partly what I touch on in the video is that like I feel like I don't know whether slicks are gonna, I did something about armor plates before, and like that's not even in yet, and then now we've got like leg meta's getting even better. There's more options for leg meta. Running stomach protection is becoming more important than ever. And if people seriously start running like flesh rounds, like legitimately, then you might even consider something with arms protection. Maybe,
Maybe. Now that would be really interesting.
yeah, because
That
then
would be
you won't
really
take because you
interesting.
basically won't take from rip. You won't take durability damage because
Yeah.
it's so like the rounds have so little
And
pen.
as long as you're behind like a concrete block or like a box.
Yeah,
I don't know.
then
Maybe it would go through the box with the new ballistic system. I'm not sure.
yeah, I'm not
It's
sure with rips and
interesting.
stuff. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm interested to try it. But I've never been that good at leg meta anyway.
I feel like I've either just same as you not been good or just been unlucky because you're trying to shoot moving limbs. You know what I mean? Like if they're
Yeah,
strafing and you're trying to shoot them, like yeah.
exactly. Exactly. It's difficult. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely
Yeah.
interesting. So we'll have to see because I don't know how much this is going to shake it up. Because normally with these things, what happens is people run it for like a week or two,
And then
and
it goes
even if
back.
it's really and it goes back because even if it's like it's actually a funny thing in EFT, right? Even if it's really good, if it's kind of niche or situational, people just like stop doing it anyway. It's
Yeah.
like the KS, right? Like KS it'll still one shot you and you still see them. But because they're so situational, people go back to the
Right.
M4s and whatever because like they're so
The
general unless there's,
consistent, the
yeah,
more reliable. Yeah.
exactly, and they're like they
100%.
just fit more situations, and people like if you're like running around memeing trying to do something very specific and thinking, oh, this is hilarious, I'm going to shoot some guy's kneecaps out in the factory stairs, and like you go and do that, but then you're like, fine, okay, well let's go back to running some normal raids on custom shoreline woods, whatever, and it's like, well, you're not going to take it there, so people just get bored and they go, okay, well, we'll just go back to the other stuff. So the longer term meta things tend to be those, you know, weapons with no downsides whatsoever,
Right, right.
and are just good in every situation, good ammo, good recoil, all of that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm excited to try it out a little bit. I really did want to try it out, but I haven't had a huge amount of spare time to be able to. So when I do get to it, hopefully everyone else will have forgotten about it, and then I'll just turn up with my ACP vector and you know.
Speaking of situational stuff, you're gonna love this
Mhm.
transition. How about them bolt action velocity muzzle velocity buffs?
So I saw this one, and okay, like the short takeaway for me is this is good. It helps a bit. I still won't run them.
Yeah. It is yeah. I feel you on that. And for those who we weren't super clear, they buffed them by what? Was there like a rough percentage? I don't even know.
I think it's the
Like I want to say the DVL with the silencer, it can get to like over 100. I'm sorry, over 1,000 feet per or meters per second or whatever the
yeah,
number is.
it'll be interesting to see because I think the number that is stated, because I didn't actually do a huge amount of like research into it, just because I'm not
Yeah.
really very interested in bolt actions, to be honest with you, and I tend to only research the stuff that I actually find interesting, and I don't know, I'm going to use myself, or I think it's like super game changing. I don't think this is like crazy game changing particularly, but I think the statistics are related to like the barrel modifiers, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And so
I'm
it's
pretty
a
sure you're right.
percentage based thing. Yeah, so it's a percentage based thing. Um, and I go to, I mean, if anybody that doesn't know how that works exactly, I do actually have a video pretty much on this topic previously, looking at the fastest, the fastest muzzle velocity in the game, which used to be the 416 with the suppressor. Now, I don't know whether any of these changes trump that in terms of muzzle velocity, because that was really quite fast. I think it was like 148 or something. Off the top of my head, it's somewhere around that number, I think. Closely followed by like the AK-101, actually. Interestingly, I think it's just because 5.56 is a very fast round. But yeah, the longest barreled like 4.16 used to be the very fastest one. And so, but some of these percentage changes are like not insignificant, and some of the rounds in particular have quite significant like muzzle velocity buffs on them. And so when you combine that with the barrel length change, if it's was -4 and now it's like +4, +6 or something, it's actually quite a significant change overall,
Mm.
right? If it's like a swing of 8% or something, you're talking like 1,000 meters per second. It's like 80 or something different. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that's yeah.
yeah, it could be a game changer, especially with something like the DVL, because I know that was kind of up there already. And if you're using M993, that's also a round that has like a decent percentage increase chance on speed. So maybe that would be good. I tried using DVL last wipe with M993 and just basically wasted my money because I'm just A, not very good at sniping, B, don't enjoy it very much, and C, just get bored and like wander around woods and then get shot. So I don't know. But for those who like bolties, then yeah, it's a welcome change to try and not do anything silly that's not out of the realms of kind of I mean I hate using the word realism, but
Yeah.
they don't want to add like magical properties or whatever, but it's like something that they can do that doesn't like break the immersion of the game, that
Right, right.
helps buff them a bit, which I think is the route that they should go with them, really. um so yeah, I think it's good. I mean, do you use bolties that much? Do you like them?
I I do. I mean, I find them incredibly frustrating because it's like at like the start of the line, it feels like mostly it's just like the player movement. It's so unrestrictive a lot of times. Like they can just like spin on a dime or just they'll be just constantly just like jiggling and moving, and that's just yeah. But I do just to be a hipster, but
I think that's when people crack out, the DVL and that kind of stuff. It's cool, but yeah, like
yeah,
I mean, incidentally, while we're still on the topic, Inertia is actually going to be a huge buff to all of these long
that's
range
what I
guns.
think. Yeah, yeah,
So we'll see, because yeah, people can't just like you line up the shot and then someone just decides to like do a lean or whatever and just like dodges you and just like whoop 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 around the
right.
corner, and it's just crazy
Yeah,
because
like you
there's
get
various
one chance, man, and after
exactly.
that one chance, it's just like good
Yeah,
luck,
people
dude.
scatter and run for cover, and you just never see these people again. It's really rough. It's
Yeah,
really rough. It's really really rough. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe one day I'll go back to Tarkov the shooter series. Maybe one day. It's probably not this wipe though. Yes, okay, so what else? So I've gone through those things already. There was a couple of other bits that I'd like kind of noted. So today there was actually the very first fence quest, which is like not collector, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I accepted it, but obviously haven't done anything with it yet. I don't know. Have you seen it? Like you basically have to
yeah,
kill, and they actually changed the
kill,
wording already. So you have to kill 3 PMCs in one raid without killing any scavs.
yeah,
So
and you get +1 fence rep.
yeah, exactly. And I like this. And I think some people are thinking like, is this daily quests? Maybe. Is this like the start of daily quests, like kind of trial, like putting it in? I don't know why they need to trial it really, but it's
I
something new.
I think it's just because it's also in tangent with that other change where where what was it? the fence, sorry, Scav Karma, if you're in the negative, Scavs will
Oh,
actively hunt you down.
yes. This
So
is actually
because of
probably more
that,
important.
they wanted to have something where you could,
Redeem
potentially
yourself.
knock you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a big change,
that's a
actually.
yeah, that's a big change. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because they have talked about having this space for like evil scav benefits and perks. This seems to be in the opposite direction, but yeah, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. This is yeah, this one's odd to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, just about there's only positive rewards, and so no one's incentivized really, unless you're just trying to troll or whatever. You're just incentivized to be nice to people because you don't get anything good really from crapping on people, and it's even worse now because it used to be you have to be like really low. You have to be like what -5 or -6 or something before
I think
everyone would kill on sight.
-6. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like -1. So lower than -1, if you've been a naughty boy, then Santa Fence is coming. He's coming for you, and all of his scav army is going to kill you on sight. It's kind of yeah. I don't know. Like other than this quest, there's not really a good mechanic to get out of the hole, which is kind of rough, right?
Yeah, yeah, because then that's the thing. They're gonna be hunting you down. So if you kill them, you're gonna lose more points. But if you run
Yeah.
away, like it's gonna be really hard actually.
Yeah,
But
but
then it's also interesting because if you do decide to kill them, right, the AI scavs, and you're the good human scav, and you see him killing those scavs, do you get karma for killing the guy that's killing the AI scavs, or did they change that? I can't remember if they changed that
they this was
behavior.
the change that I remember we spent like 5 minutes going through the logic. It was like they changed that logic where if you so if somebody kills if a player kills a scav, gets negative karma, you kill them, you get positive karma, and someone kills you, they don't get positive karma for killing you because you killed someone with negative karma, even though you got positive karma. That was the thing that got removed at that point. But yeah, with this I don't know. Like if you're if you start off the raid with -1 or -1.5 or something, like do you get positive karma as a scav that's killing him? Because if you go, oh well, look, the bots are killing this guy. I don't know yet. So if the bots
Right.
are killing this guy, oh, he must be bad because he must have killed somebody because otherwise scouts wouldn't be shooting at him. And then you shoot him, but because he hasn't killed anyone that raid, you end up losing karma, and then all the scouts are trying to
You'd
shoot
have
you
to wait
too. That'd be weird.
till
Yeah,
he
actually
kills.
kills one,
Yeah.
then go and kill him. I don't know. There's some like weird player interactions here. It's a
Yeah.
bit weird. Um,
You could farm karma just by watching be on the lookout for any like gunshots and then watch the guy kill him and be like, all right, time to take him out.
yeah, I just wonder how many people are like less than one. I imagine it's very few. I imagine it's very very few.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it must be few and far between. I just don't know. I
Yeah.
just don't know. I mean,
I
on
don't
that
know.
note,
This one's interesting. That's an interesting change.
yeah. On that note, though, there was a mention, and I actually can't remember where this was. I think this was in the magazine interview again, the Russian one,
Mm-hmm.
when I was
Mm-hmm.
reading the transcript, and about future changes with, PMC Karma as well, and about bounty hunting for players, basically. So players who like
Oh
do bad
yeah.
things. He was talking about like a bounty hunting mechanic for players who like kill scavs or kill other players and have bad karma or whatever. And I didn't know whether that was. I mean, it doesn't say anything too specific about whether it was for players, but it definitely said that like UN NPCs will hunt you down. But it'd be like I think we spoke about this before. Like it's such a sick idea to have players almost get like a bounty hunting kind of goal or something. Can you imagine how cool that would be? Like you can be the
Be
bad
really
PMC
cool.
if you want to, and you get some advantages for that. But you could also be like the bounty hunting PMC, like hunting down the bad guys, which would also be super cool and come with its own set of rewards. I think it'd be really neat. I think it'd be really really neat.
He wanted to add I'm gonna read this verbatim.
Yeah,
Interaction between the players and Skaz that was real as in real life. In the future, they will add bounty hunting to kill players who kill scavs or scav players without reason. Without reason, interesting. UN NPCs will hunt down this players. That's so
yeah.
interesting.
I just love the idea of like spawning into raid, and you're like, super positive karma person, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you get some kind of like objective or whatever, and you're like, there's a PMC group that because you could almost like, I don't know, you could almost like give somebody the hint of what someone else's daily quest was or something. I don't know. I'm like imagining like a way to, of these, this is their objective. We've intercepted some whatever. So you kind of like have a chance of running into them, but they might not be going to do that. But you have some maybe like some information or some idea, or
Some
maybe where
intel
like
on
rough,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
some intel of some kind, roughly where they've spawned or whatever. And maybe like their rewards are going to be good if they manage to get in and out and not die, but then and your rewards are great if you actually manage to go and like
Yeah.
go and take them out. It would
That'd be
be super
super
cool.
cool.
It
Yeah.
really would. So, obviously a system like that has to be implemented quite carefully, but it sounds like they're looking to do something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to like other NPCs going in though. I really am. I actually think it's going to be amazing if you've
The
got,
different factions.
yeah, like the UN peacekeepers and they're around certain areas, and the Russian
Yeah.
army are there, and Black Division obviously, and all the other stuff. It's gonna be super cool. It's gonna be super cool. I'm really looking forward to that kind of thing, especially like the UN. I don't know why. I'm just kind of looking forward to that, and how they implement it, and like what the ramifications are for that. If you're actually going around like killing everyone, it's going to be. I hope it doesn't go the same way as Scav Karma is at the moment, and I still hope that Scav Karma is tweaked further. So, as you said, there are some benefits to being a bad Scav, because you kind of want people on both ends of the spectrum. Because at the moment, it's, as we said, on the podcast where we talked about this a lot, is that it's kind of
Hmm.
we've gone from like one extreme to the other, completely,
Yeah.
so that everyone's just friendly. Um, so yeah, let's hope they continue to add that stuff. That's what I hope anyway.
There was something somewhere, and I can't really find it, but there was talks of open world after streets. Like this will be like the first uh I don't know how you would phrase it, like testing grounds or whatnot for open world, because like streets is like they're aiming for like a 2 hour raid, and they're even considering spawning players in middle of the raid, which is like, dude, that's like maybe that infills thing that was being referenced on
Yeah.
the Kita with Jesse Kazam and on the podcast.
Yes. I think it would be amazing. Honestly, like I was reading I think there was a Reddit thread actually this week about how some of the weakest parts of the game are the way that the spawning mechanics work and that kind of stuff, because
Hmm.
they're trying to take away some of the um what's the word, like the not reliability is the wrong word, but the fact that everybody knows where everything spawns,
Consistency,
yeah, and the lack of
predictability.
predictability. That's the perfect word, predictability,
Yeah,
because they're taking away the loot being in very very specific spots and spreading it out and giving it a test and seeing what happens. So now
yeah,
really the player spawns are probably one of the most critical things left, and no matter what you do with player spawns, nothing changes the fact that everybody arrives at the same time. And now that they've
right.
mixed the loot up a bit, now it kind of matters a little bit less whether you're first in, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
so that they've kind of like broken that link a little bit between people being like, oh, well, everyone needs to spawn at the same time because otherwise everyone's going to go to the good rooms, get all the loot. But now everybody's reeing on the internet because, none of the rooms have any good loot in them anymore and all the keys are worthless. So it's like, okay, well, now we've broken the link. Now you can just do what you like with spawning. And I think, I was it last time when I mentioned like what I would like, which is, and somebody said in chat, it's like a Daisy style system where like you can spawn in kind of at any time. There's like open raids, and then the loot can spawn at any time as well. So you don't know whether it's going to be there or not, whether
Right.
people have been there or not, and anything like that. And it feels like they're moving
Which,
towards something of that nature. I think. I think
yeah,
it's easy to implement, and it makes the game more dynamic. And you just never know whether you're alone or not. And it's like, yeah, in our raids, right? At the beginning it's fully populated. Half an hour into a raid, there's maybe going to be two or three of you left, and that's about it. And so you kind of
yeah,
know what's happening with that, and I think that actually takes away, especially when you're more experienced, right? It takes away some of the fear, like the sort of the horror of the game in some sense, because
yeah, yeah.
there's so many more things that you just know where people are going to have spawned roughly, where they're going to be exfilling, that kind of thing.
You at least
Um,
know the check. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
you have like some information, I
yeah,
guess. You know,
yeah,
there's a chance that this player will spawn here at least. You know,
yeah, exactly.
and then you can go even
So yeah.
further. It's like if you don't see players on your side of the map, you could almost infer that there's a big squad on the other side of the map. You know?
Yeah, because that like obviously Factory's not really like a EFT style map, really, right? Because it's small and
Hmm.
very arena-y. which is fine. But yeah, that point, if you take it to its logical extreme, which is on factory, and you're solo and you're in the forklift and you come through, and there's no one at glass and there's no one down the left, and you're like, better
Yeah.
watch myself, and you then pretty much guaranteed to have a huge fight in the office corridor if you so wish. So yeah, that kind of like information by omission is as powerful as kind of like the direct information that oh, somebody's over there because I saw them at spawn or whatever. The fact that someone isn't there tells you something too. That's very true. That's very, very true.
Yeah. It'd be interesting because I'm thinking of it like maybe you load into a map or, a map, and then you spawn somewhere, but, you're like in the middle of a raid. Would you even have like a raid timer, like a time to get out? Because now how it works is like everyone has a shared timer. So would people have their each individual timers? Would the timers just be removed? Like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
My idea would that each time, well, each exfil might have its own timer, for example.
Ooh. And they could possibly open and close.
Maybe open and close, but just to have like, yeah, you could have like a window or something. You could have a graphic
Yeah.
or something saying that it's like, it's not open for 10 minutes and then it's going to be open for 10 and then it's going to be closed after that. There's ways that you could represent that on screen.
That's
I
interesting.
was but I was thinking like, yeah, each exfil maybe it has like, even if you didn't do that, each one's got its own, so like, yeah, you've always got the one that's going to be open for a full hour, but if you're I mean,
Hmm.
maybe that's kind of the wrong way to do it because you're kind of then incentivizing people to leave early. But there's lots of ways to make it like dynamic in that sense, so that
Sure.
there's
Sure.
exfils that only open at certain times and all this kind of stuff, which would make it more interesting. I think it'd be good. There's like so much, dude. There's so much cool stuff. I'm so looking forward to like new map Inertia Void. Those that like honestly those things.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
I mean, I'm pretty excited for Inertia because I'm very curious to see how it's like how it's going to feel, you know what I mean? Because apparently the jumping mechanic is like very basic. There's like no physics involved. It's just like it's like pre-calculated. It's like an arch. I've heard it described. I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm really interested to see. And then of course VoIP as that like that could play out in a number of ways. I don't even know. It's all very interesting and you know
Yeah,
Scav Karma, I never would expect it would turn out like this. you know?
I don't think anybody thought it was going to turn out exactly like this, and the way they
Yeah.
did it with the various events. I mean, yeah, like no, it's just weird. It's so hard to know how these things will work out unless you actually just put them in place, which is kind of what the whole system's for. But yeah, I'm interested about inertia because I don't know whether it'll end up being a positive for a player like myself. Like I don't really consider myself, like a close quarters like expert in EFT. I
Mhm.
tend to play most of my raids outside, as I've said before, and I did kind of fix that a bit when I played factory just like non-stop for about a month, um, so that helped. But I'm still, you look at the guys who are like the top guys, some of the stuff they do is just honestly outrageous. I always reference
Yeah.
Glorious because his Twitter feed is just the best thing that I've ever seen in EFT, but it's just crazy. But I think the whole like the little mm, uh, a bat a bat, like you like literally peek out for like a split
Yeah.
second and then get a shot off like that. I assume is going to be gone, and so the leaning is going to be
I
slower.
don't
Um,
know.
I don't know either because leaning might not end up getting the treatment, but we'll see. But it's a funny one because like yeah, it's going to slow it down a bit, and it's like I was thinking about this, just like, is this going to be a good thing in all situations? I don't know. Like two guys in two rooms, like how do you get out of that situation? Do you know what I mean? With that, like if there's not an obvious flank route, say you're both in like resort or something, and one guy's like
Mhm.
pinned in one of the rooms, it's like how do you unlock that stalemate? Like what tools do you have in your arsenal now to unlock the stalemate? Because like now you can be hyper aggressive as a way to kind of like fix that, I suppose, even though it's not necessarily that great for gameplay. It's just like there's a way out, but you don't want to end up in a situation where two players are just like they're both locked in their room because either one person's kind of like got that angle, and if you peek out, you instantly die. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm not quite sure how
Well,
it's going to play out.
if it's going to work how I think it would work is like you have to build up enough. You have to accelerate to top speed, right?
Yeah,
So whereas now you can just sit like like an inch or like a millimeter behind cover and just tap a key and you're at max speed. You know what I mean? So that leads to like jiggle peeking. So now you couldn't do that. You have to give yourself enough space to reach full speed, which means for the person holding the angle, you could hear them accelerating ideally. You know, so you have like more time to prep instead of like, you know, a millisecond reaction time. Like there's just like, you know, um and then the other thing too, I think is going to be interesting is that, you know, say you're in a situation where you're both, you know, this guy's, you came around the corner and there's no cover, and then there's a guy that just appeared out of nowhere, and you're both just like out in the open. Well, like the de facto thing to do is to spam AD. You know what I mean? Like there's zero consequences for it. Whereas now there there should be some consequences for it. So you may have to like you could still strafe, but if it's anything like CS:GO, you have to do like much longer strafes, you know, because you got to build up that momentum. And then when you go to counter strafe, you have to slow down to a halt and then build it back up. So I think it's going to make it more punishing, more methodical. It was like, in my mind, it's going to add, if assuming it's like, you know, however they implemented, I don't know, it could be complete dog shit to be honest. But if it's how I think it's gonna work, I think it's gonna be really good change in terms of like making it more methodical, adding a layer of like depth and like decision making. You know, do I do I hold this angle or do I just like strafe out? You know, oh, I'm out in cover. I can only do so many more. Like I only have a limited amount of like quick high top velocity movement before I, you know, have to like come to a halt. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just like I just can't predict it, and it depends. It's the funny thing about inertia is for me, it's all about feel. It's less about like
Yeah.
the numbers or whatever. And like obviously there's numbers in the background, but it's going to be about feeling how does it feel to play it and whether it
Yeah.
works or not. And I think in some situations it's going to. I mean, this is clearly going to make holding angles and kind of like camping-y style behavior, not camping necessarily, but you know what I mean, like camping style behavior more powerful in some ways. And I don't think in every situation that's necessarily going to be good. So we're going to have to see.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I'm much more mixed on it. Like I'm excited about VoIP because I think that the baseline for VoIP is like it is now. So it either does nothing or it's going to be like hugely transformational. And I think that the downsides are very limited. Whereas like inertia, I feel like it could significantly change some situations so that like, you know, EFT already like we forget because we played the game for so long that sometimes you end up in some serious like stalemates where one dude like camps a body for like 40 minutes. I feel like that kind of thing only gets
That's
worse in certain situations with like inertia and stuff. Like, not that I don't think they should add it. I definitely think that we should add it and try it and see how it feels. But I do think that kind of thing, like, and that sort of like it used to not bother me, right? Because I had loads more time. But these days, it kind of like that sort of thing frustrates me a little bit more because it's like it's not necessarily interesting. It's just like being super patient isn't necessarily that interesting. Which is why I'm kind of intrigued of ways to break the stalemate. And that's kind of what grenades and other stuff is for. Someone in chat was saying, you know, smoke grenades, petition for more better smokes. Definitely think more smokes should be in the game, especially if
yeah.
there's more inertia. You know, moving from cover to cover is going to be more important because there's actually like a video on the back burner that I'm not going to make for ages, but kind of like some of the principles about like the differences between some games. You know, it's like you look at a map in Apex Legends, for example, and you look at a map in Escape
Hmm.
from Tarkov, and even though the maps may look similar, they play out completely differently in each game because like moving from cover to cover in EFT is even now is much harder because your character is quite slow. Whereas in something like Apex, your character is so fast. Cover is actually like theoretically closer, right? The time to move from one piece of cover to another is very low, whereas in
Hmm.
EFT it's fairly high, and in something like squad it's like it takes ages. And so this kind of just like if you want to add more stuff like this, then you need more ways for people to be able to interact with the environment in that way because like the existing like smoke grenades we have are just complete crap. They just
That's
don't
a
do
good
anything and no one uses them.
yeah, that's a good point because one of the tools is the typical sprinting across the doorway looking, you know, alt looking, you know, because
Yeah.
you sort of like you can literally, if you're fast enough, you can literally as soon as you go behind, like as soon as you cross the door and go behind the wall, you could literally do a 180, still holding W and run back the other direction. Like it's kind of insane, human inputs, but you could do it in theory.
Yeah.
So if that goes away, then that's a tool because that was like a guy's holding an angle in dorms. You just sprint from one side of the hall to the other hall, and you can like try to spot him. Meanwhile, he's trying to play a rhythm game and trying to hit you, but it's extremely hard because it's literally just like the flash, like you know.
Yeah, and some of the issues with networking and stuff don't really help. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, hopefully we get some better stuff on that too. I don't think, it's just the
Yeah,
ongoing problems with that, but we'll see. Hopefully they're making some headway. Maybe Unity will help. Who knows? Those are the very hard problems to solve, I think.
for sure, for sure. Okay, well, gosh, there was so much stuff this week. So much stuff.
Actually,
Was there
so much stuff.
anything else you want to close out with, or?
Not really. I mean, the only thing I'll just mention just very quickly for 20 seconds was I was like mulling over like where we get our information from for EFT, and it's kind of scattered, and that's sort of what BSG like, and there's some stuff on Reddit and some stuff on Twitter and whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'll put out a poll. I'll find out. What my viewers like to see. So I put out a poll being like, where do you like to get your data from EFT? And everybody on my YouTube channel picked YouTube. And as many people pointed out, maybe putting the YouTube in the list on YouTube on a poll on YouTube was not the best way to get an unbiased set of data. So with with that hindsight,
Okay.
that poll was maybe slightly foolish. Um, but I was like, how else? Like, what are I supposed to do? Like, post something on Twitter about where to get the good? I don't know. I know what I should have done in hindsight is I should have written outside of YouTube. Where do you like to get your information from? That would have been a much more fair poll. Which maybe I'll put up. But I was just like, it was just on a whim, and I was like, I haven't done a poll for ages, and I was like, had this like question on my mind, and I was like, huh, because I was thinking about it, because there's so much information all over the place. There's
Yeah.
like an interview here, and there's this Russian translation over here, and then there's nice guy talking about this thing here, and then there's a post on Reddit, and then there's logical solutions like putting up things on Twitter, and I was like, it's so like scattered. And then there's like the Discord as well with the official wiki, and I was like, you have just so many sources. Like I don't know, like because I was just mulling over like, is there some kind of is there any advantage to kind of like collating some of that from other places? I was thinking especially Reddit, because I know a lot of people don't like to go on Reddit, and I'm slowly getting back into it, whether there was some benefit of
Mhm.
kind of like collating some stuff. And the killers thing was on Reddit, and everyone picked that up, and that's great. But I think maybe there might be some more gems that aren't necessarily,
Oh, for
so
sure.
widely popularized that could almost be kind of like consolidated somewhere. That's kind of like the trail of thought I was thinking about. And I was like, just put this poll out, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like a complete lesson in just like bias and in data collection and stuff, which I should have known better. But it was quite funny, to be honest, to get an 80% YouTube answer out of it. So I got basically no information, and I got a lot of funny comments from people as well, talking about what's their favorite platform, like PC and like Telegram and all sorts of just like random answers, which is good. So I got a good laugh from the community, so it wasn't all bad.
It is kind of nice though of YouTube because it is sort of like it's such a nice media to consume because it's visual and audio. And then you get like all the sources from everything. Like you got Logic, Twitter, other YouTube videos, Reddit. Like it is sort of a nice platform for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing about YouTube, like just a life hack for everybody, because I'm like honestly, like I mean, people who can see on the video, like my life's completely insane right now. So I've been watching all my YouTubes on at least 1.5 times speed. And some
Mhm.
people who are very clear, I can listen to on 2 times. Not everybody, but some people I can listen to on 2x. Especially if you have the subtitles up, so you can just be like, oh, it's like an 8-minute update video or whatever, and you're just like, hi, it's nice guy here. You like reading the, it's like, and you get all the info, and it's like super fast. So once you get used to it, you can actually listen to this stuff in like super speed and like watch the videos in half the time, which is like just what I need right now.
Hashtag life hacks.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool.
Cool. I think that wraps it up. Dude, there is so much news. I feel like I'm forgetting
I know.
we'll just have to catch up
Yeah. We'll have
next
to catch
week.
up next week, distill some of this stuff, and see where we're at.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always appreciate the support. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. See you.
See you later.